reason for the heavens and the earth. I know there's a reason for the created births. I know there's a reason for turning dust into flesh. I know there's a reason for your life-giving breath.
Welcome back to the Blue Halo Podcast, where faith meets real life, and sometimes real life needs a lawyer. I'm your host, Jeff Wamble, and today we're tackling a principle that sits at the very heart of the American justice system: innocent until proven guilty. It's a phrase we've all heard, but let's be honest, we don't always live by it, do we? In court, yes. On social media, not so much. But here's the deeper question: where did this idea come from? And more importantly, does the Bible support it? As you all know, I had a long career in law enforcement, and I've seen my share of courtrooms. For the most part, the courts bend over backwards to live up to this principle. I believe the police officers I worked alongside did as well. Maybe they didn't bend over backwards like the courts, but they did their best not to violate not only that principle, but any citizen's rights. Were there bad apples? Sure, just like anywhere else. But you weed them out, just like anywhere else. So the courts and law enforcement departments, they do a pretty good job. But if you want to know where I think the problem may lie, it's at the citizen level. Now, mind you, citizens didn't swear an oath like law enforcement or like the judges in the courts. But a principle is still a principle. And some citizens, they may throw stones from their glass houses. This happens a lot. I remember this one call very vividly. There was a middle-aged woman once who lost a package. She was notified it was on her porch. You know the process. You get that email or text. Delivery was made. But when she went to retrieve it, there was no package. She thought it was a porch pirate incident, with the porch pirate being her neighbor. She immediately jumped to conclusions. She skipped every logical step regarding justice. No camera check. No, maybe I misplaced it. Nothing. Instead, she went straight to a full-blown character assassination of Dan, the teenager next door. Within an hour, she had him branded the porch pirate. By dinner, half the neighborhood was ready to testify against this young man. But it turns out Karen, that's not a real name, but let's go with it, Karen had brought the package inside herself and didn't remember because she was talking on her cell phone at the time. Needless to say, the post she put out on social media disappeared faster than her credibility, and Dan learned a valuable lesson. Your reputation is one bored neighbor away from a public execution. Now, the phrase itself, innocent until proven guilty, isn't written word for word in the Constitution, but it's foundational to American law, especially through interpretations of due process under the Fifth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. Now, what is due process? Here's the technical definition. Due process is a constitutional guarantee that prohibits the United States government from arbitrarily depriving individuals of life, liberty, or property without fair and legal procedures. It's supposed to ensure fair treatment under the law, and that includes notice of proceedings, like court proceedings, and meaningful opportunities to be heard. It also ensures the burden of proof is on the accuser and not on the accused. You don't have to prove you're innocent. The powers that be have to prove you're guilty. And why is that important? Because this principle protects everyday average citizens from false accusations and from government overreach and things like mob justice. And without it, anyone could be punished based on just mere suspicion, like an accusation or of a rumor. Imagine that. Or even an emotion. Think the Salem witch trials. That's what happened back in the day in Salem. People were put to death for being a witch on accusations with no proof, just like the call I had with Dan and Karen. Imagine that was you, and your neighbor accused you of stealing their Amazon package. Should the police arrest you immediately, or should your neighbor have to prove it? If we flip the burden, suddenly everyone is guilty until they can prove otherwise. And that's chaos. Just like in Salem, Massachusetts. There were no witches. Now, let's turn to Scripture. I think you might be surprised at how aligned it is, how aligned Scripture is with this principle. Justice is taken very seriously in the Bible. Here's an example. In Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15, it says, "A matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses." It says a matter. What's that? It's an accusation or a violation. That's what it is. And then it says established. Okay? That means evidence in some way, doesn't it? In this case, it means testimony of not just 1, but 2 or 3 witnesses. That makes the evidence, in this case, the testimony, much more solid. That's not, I heard something. That's not, I feel like it's true. That's evidence. Like I said, corroboration, verification. Let's continue. Now in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 17, it says, "The first to present his case seems right, till another comes forward and questions him." So in other words, don't jump to conclusions. Sound familiar? That's basically ancient wisdom saying, hey, maybe don't cancel someone after the first tweet. How about this? One of the most powerful examples comes from Jesus himself. In John 8, a woman is caught in adultery. Remember that one? And the crowd drags her in front of Jesus. They're ready to stone her. They're not asking for justice, are they? They're demanding punishment. But what does Jesus do? He says, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." Wow, that's heavy stuff. One by one, they walk away. They walk away. Why? Why do they walk away? Because Jesus exposes something dangerous. Dangerous to all of us. Human beings love to rush to judgment. That's what he exposes. He doesn't deny sin exists, but he challenges the process. Where are the witnesses in this case? Where is the man involved? Where's the fairness? Where's the justice? Ultimately, Jesus tells the woman, "Go and sin no more." This is important. This is Jesus balancing justice with mercy. He's not letting her off the hook for her part in the incident. He is showing mercy. But there's a catch for her. Stop doing what it is you're doing. Sin no more. That's what he's saying. And if you haven't figured it out, this applies to all of us. We're forgiven. We're shown mercy. And then we are to sin no more. It's the same then as it is now. There's nothing new under the sun here. We live in a culture of instant judgment. Sounds like they did back in Jesus' day too. Someone gets accused, and within minutes, social media explodes. Careers are destroyed. Reputations vanish. No trial, no evidence, no defense, just outrage. What's that old saying? A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. You see, we've replaced innocent until proven guilty with trending until proven innocent. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes we enjoy it. It's like gossip. There's something in human nature that likes being the jury without the responsibility. That's a dangerous thing. And Scripture warns us about this. In James chapter 1, verse 19, it says, "Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry." That's basically saying, maybe don't ruin someone's life before lunch. Now, let's be fair. The justice system isn't perfect. There have been wrongful convictions. Many, in fact. It's a small percentage, but people have been declared guilty who were actually innocent. There are organizations that work to overturn convictions, and they use DNA evidence. And their work has led to people being freed. Good. That's a good thing. Some people have spent decades in prison for crimes they didn't commit. And freeing them is a good thing. It's sobering. And it reminds us, even with rules in place, justice requires humility. We can be wrong as a society. We can be wrong. But here's where things take a turn. Because biblically speaking, none of us are innocent. Romans chapter 3, verse 23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." So in God's courtroom, the verdict is guilty. We're all guilty. But here's the twist. God doesn't leave it there. Through Jesus, he offers grace. This means with God, it's not innocent until proven guilty. It's guilty but forgiven. And that's a whole different kind of justice. So how do we live this out? What do we do? Well, here are a few takeaways. These are simple things we can do. First, don't rush to judgment. Avoid jumping to conclusions, right? Don't decide someone is guilty without full evidence. And seek truth, not just headlines. How many people do you know who post on social media, including you maybe, and they post things that turn out to be false? Many of us have done that. We trust the headline or what someone else posted because maybe we like what it was saying, or we wanted to believe it. We wanted to believe it to be true, so we forward the same false message because we didn't research it ourselves, or we didn't listen to the entirety of whatever the message was. Like, say, a video of some politician making some statement. How many times has a video been doctored and spliced to make the person speaking look bad in some way? All the time. And then sometime later, the truth comes out. But the problem is the damage has already been done. Here's another takeaway. Listen before forming opinions and speaking those opinions. Remember this. This is another cliche, but it makes the point. God gave us 2 ears, and he gave us 1 mouth. And it was done for a reason. You've all heard this. It means we should listen twice as much as we speak. It's good advice. We don't get in as much trouble that way. God knows I violated this rule, and it didn't work out well. But I really do like the phrase because it emphasizes the importance of active listening. And when we listen, we learn. But it also emphasizes the importance of humility over constant talking. How many times have you seen someone do this? Or maybe you do it, where instead of listening to someone else speak and really paying attention, instead we're just waiting for a pause in their speech to jump in to say whatever it is we want to say. Happens all the time. And I do it too. But here's the brilliance in God's plan. Speaking less often leads to fewer mistakes, and it also increases our wisdom. And what does fewer mistakes and greater wisdom lead to? Well, how about better relationships, for one thing? By focusing on hearing and attentive listening, we can reduce unnecessary conflict. Our communication becomes better, and so will our relationships. Just give it some thought. The last thing I'm going to say is this. Remember your own need for grace too, because nobody's perfect. Look at it this way. The same way you want people to assume the best about you, you should extend that to others. Assume the best. Innocent until proven guilty isn't just a legal principle. It's a reflection of something deeper. It's a desire for fairness, and it's a need for truth. And ultimately, it's a reminder of grace. Because while human court aims for justice, God offers something even better, mercy. Thanks for listening today. And if you like trivia and comedy, check out the Belly Laughs from Fun Facts podcast. It's a little different, but a lot of fun. And remember, before you throw a stone, make sure you're not standing in a glass house. I'll talk to you soon. God bless.
When I close my eyes, I hear your voice whispering